And most people in real estate, when they step out, like they're not really making, good money any
Yeah.
longer. I wanted to be able to have it where that by the time I step out.
Meet Gaye Ribble, a 34-year real estate veteran who went from grassroots selling and raising kids to becoming a top 25 agent, closing 80 homes a year while building the Empower Home team.
People don't care whether it's Gaye Ribble or who it is, it's Empower Home, and it's the systems and the heart that I've hired to keep it going. It's no longer me. They don't have to be working with Gaye Ribble. They can work with any member of my team and still get that same service that I would have given them.
What's up, everybody? This is Reinventing. Ornum back with another edition of the Scaling Up Success Podcast. Today, I have on Gaye Ribble of the Empower Home Group. Gaye, how are you today?
Doing amazing. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, and thank you for jumping on. We've been friends for so long, and I'm just super excited to have you on the show today. Thank you for your time.
It is a pleasure to be here. An honor.
Awesome, awesome. Well, one thing that I'm really excited about is to, share your message of how you've grown from you're in the residential real estate in Colorado, and it's pretty amazing to see your growth over the time that I've known you. And, even from when, I picked up and know you for almost 10 years now, but even the growth that I've seen you in the last decade has been amazing. But how, let's just take it back. How did you get your start in that career field?
Well, I'm in my 34th year of selling real estate, so I'm an old guy here. So I started selling Tupperware. And, I was a stay-at-home mom and sold Tupperware. And I don't know, it's kind of a long story, but I ended up getting involved with a developer who was trying to get a development passed in Arvada, Colorado. And I was interested in it because if the new housing development got passed, there would be a new elementary school that my kids would go to. So I was, fighting on behalf of getting this development passed. It ended up going to a vote to the city, the people who live in Arvada, and they wanted somebody to spearhead this kind of grassroots effort. They asked me to do that. So in doing that, I ended up talking to a lot of real estate agents and, different things in the industry to get them their support of this new development. And by the time the whole thing was said and done, it passed. The school did get built. My kids did go to that school. But at one point in time, I was sitting there at a meeting with the city council, and everybody in that room was getting paid except for me. I was volunteering my time. I was paying to have somebody watch my kids at home. I was with the mayor of Arvada and all the city council members and the builders and all these people that were making a lot of money with this. I looked around and I thought, and I was leading the meeting, and I thought, there is something wrong with this picture. I am the only person not getting paid to be doing these things. And
Right.
So after it passed, they asked me to run for city council, and I would make all of I don't know, $23,000 a year as the city council person. And instead I decided, I think I'm going to go into real estate. It looks like that's where the money is. And that's what got me into real estate.
That's awesome. Well, you have absolutely had a phenomenal career in real estate since then, and I've been a pleasure of been in business with you along the way, and I have always
Partnered
had
for
a
a while.
absolutely, I had a tremendous respect for what you've always done. And now you're selling up and down in Colorado, and I know your business partner and you have in other states now. That's an amazing growth pattern since starting off with just, doing something on your own and then building into that. Tell us a little bit about that if you could.
Well, I've done just about every kind of job within real estate. I've been a solo agent. I was a husband and wife team. I had a small team. I had my own expansion team that you were part of, where we, were looking for people in other cities nearby that, we could help with our models and systems and things. Always for me, it was always fighting to be able to do my passion. And my passion has been in working selling real estate, right? So a lot of people are more business owners and they like the business of real estate. I am one of the rare birds that likes the practice of real estate. I actually like to sit in front of across the kitchen table with
Right.
people and really be working with them. And so I have really had to fight my whole career. I owned a Keller Williams franchise that we grew from like 20 agents to 150. And, it was thriving. It was a good, solid business, but it was taking me out of the practice and more into the business of real estate. And so
Sure.
I have my whole career to stay relevant to what my love is and my passion. My passion is working with buyers and sellers. So in doing all of that, I would hire people to come and, work within my business so that they would be more of the business mind behind it so that I could go out and do, my passion. And that would work until it didn't, right? And so these people would come in and they would say, oh, we need to do this and we need this CRM and this database and this, all these things. And they would do it however their vision was. And then they would leave for various reasons. And then I'm stuck with just my, same little practice trying to figure out what to do. And I got tired of, banging my head against the wall. And so I actually had a conversation with Gary Keller, who is the founder of Keller Williams Realty. He's a friend of mine and a mentor of mine. And I called him and I just was like, I'm trying to figure this out. Like I'm trying to get to the next level. I'm super competitive, very driven. So, I'm not satisfied with the status quo, but, and I said, so I'm just not sure how to get there. I keep, thinking I'm on the right path and then I'm not. And, what is your advice? He said, you need to find someone who is really, really good at the business of real estate. You're really, really good at the practice. You just need to find someone that you're willing to pay. They're not like a starting level person. Like you're going to have to pay for this proven talent, right? To get them to come in and do it. And I thought that is the hardest thing, finding that person. And
Yeah.
even Gary Keller had gone through multiple presidents of Keller Williams, right?
Right.
And I even said to him, yeah, how's that working for you? Because like you've done this multiple times and, 2 years later, you got a new president again. And so I decided to take his advice, but with a twist. And so I decided what I really need to do is find that proven person who's already proven that they know the business of real estate. At that time, so Keller Williams Realty is 180,000 agents. I was ranked at that time like number 88 or something. And
Wow.
so I was in the top 100 and I got to know other people that were in the others in the top 100. And I became just personal friends with a gal by the name of Sarah Reynolds. And she's out of Washington, D.C. And she was number 2 out of 180,000. And so I went to Sarah and I said, what are you doing that I'm not doing? And we started talking and figuring out her systems. And it dawned on me that it would take me, and she was 34 years old. I had been selling real estate at that time for 28 years or something. And it would have taken me another 28 years to figure out, all of the tech part of all this and, just the things she was doing. And so, I said, what if we joined forces and I'm the boots on the ground and I'm the brand and the reputation and all of the things in Colorado that I bring, but we bring your systems and models and your business acumen. And that's what we did. And so that was it'll be 5 years ago in March. So we, joined this partnership. We became the most profitable of expansion teams around the country in our first year. So it took off really well. And since then, I was the first, but now there are 10 other locations in major cities around America that are doing the same thing. And so we changed my name from the Ribble Group to Empower Home Team, which is what we are consistently around the country. And so last year, I personally sold 80 houses that, were my clients. That's a lot. You know the real estate business. So that's a lot.
The average agent does like 4 deals a year to the audience. So she's doing 80. That's incredible.
Yeah. So my passion, right? my strengths. So I sold 80. Our team sold 259. And we, in 2024, the numbers haven't come out for 25 yet, but in 2024, we were the number one team in the Denver Metro Association of Realtors. So, and the number one Keller Williams team in Denver as well. So, or in Colorado in our region. So, and now I think we're number like 23 or something, went from 88 to number 23. So,
Unbelievable.
to get down to the bottom. Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, what are you most proud about on this journey? Because you've had ups and downs and highs and lows and been all over the place. What are you finding like the most pride in this journey?
Staying relevant. Yeah. It is a process of constantly reinventing and seeing, where things are headed and not and being a leader in where the industry is going. And I think I've done that very consistently throughout my whole career. To be very honest with you, what I'm most proud of is that I am 61 years old. I'm a grandmother of 7, and I run circles around these young bucks that are 40, right? And doing this full time, and they're 40 years old, and they have all these fancy degrees and all this, background in technology, people like you, Ryan.
Yeah.
And I love that I outpace them at 61 years old. I'm able to still do that. So that is probably what I'm most proud of.
I do have to say, when we were business partners, I was second behind Gaye. I loved being able to work and learn from the best, and she's amazing. So absolutely. Has success for you changed in the dynamic of what you look at and interpret success along the way?
Yeah. Yes. My husband said a while ago, probably 10 years ago, he said, if we're the only ones that walk away from this being wealthy, we have failed, right?
Yeah.
It's really about bringing those around you and having them have success as well. And so, I could retire. I have no desire at this point to retire because I love what I do. So it doesn't really feel like work for me. It is just, who I am, and it's in my DNA, and I love doing that. So it's no longer about money for me. In fact, I don't ever know what I make. I never look at a commission. I never figure it out. I sold a $6 million house this last year, and people are like, how much did you make off of that? And I'm like, I have no idea. I never looked. I never ever look. I have my checks automatically deposited. My husband does our finances, and I have no idea what I make. Because I don't want it to become about money for me.
Sure.
I want it to be about my heart, and my heart is in serving other people. And it used to be just in serving families, other, buyers and sellers. Now it's also serving the people that I partner with, the agents around me, and helping them to hit their goal. And so my success hinges on the success of all the people around me. When they're successful, I'm successful. And if they're not, it doesn't matter what I'm making, I'm not successful.
I love that. And I can say, ever since I know you, it's always been that same way of being able to, like pay it forward and help others. And you create this amazing culture of what you want to succeed with your team. How did you do that? Because like not every real estate team is like functionally, like emotionally literate, like how did you build such a strong culture?
Well, I mean, it comes from the heart, right? Like if you don't have a genuine heart for it, you can try, but it's not going to be there. My degree is in social work. So that gives you some insight into, just who I am, right? And helping people. I just figured out a way where I could help people and it didn't break my heart watching it. I've never spent a day in my life as a social worker, but there's never a day in my life that I don't utilize that skill set. But had I been a social worker, two things would have been different. One is that I would see heartbreaking things all the time. And two is I would be, poor. And so, financially poor. And so what I've done was I figured out a way to be true to what my heart's desire is while I am building wealth for other people, for my clients and for our agents, while I'm able to build my own wealth. But it's still that component of the help piece. And that's just my heart. That's just who I am at the core. I couldn't do it if it wasn't that, and so certainly you can teach culture to people, treat people like they want to be treated, not how you want to be treated, but how they want to be treated is, kind of the rule that I go off of. So you can teach that, but you don't teach the genuine sincerity of the heart. And that's part of who you are, Ryan. I know that is who you are. And
Absolutely.
You find like-hearted people, right?
Yes.
Not just like-minded people, but like-hearted people who have that same heart for others. And, that do see it as failure if you're not helping the other people to be as successful as you are. And so I am able to spot, that's probably my superpower, is being able to find other like-hearted people who are committed and solid and good and loyal and all of the things, and surround myself with those people. And
I love that.
That really has been the key.
One thing, I love to touch on is the changes that have happened in real estate over the last 5 years, but even before that, like the last 20 years. But it's incredible. The last 5 years, feels like it's changed, almost flipped upside down. I still do a little real estate myself, and it's fascinating to see how, some of the things are changing. How are you guys staying up on all of that to make sure you're giving the best service to your clients? Because it seems like it's been changing drastically over the last couple of years.
Yeah. Well, that goes back to that piece that, always looking forward at, where is the industry going? So I'm pretty strategically minded. And so I'm always looking at, what the new strategies are, but new strategies and always keeping the heart of the client at the forefront. And so, you can do fancy new things, but if it's not, you're not keeping the client's heart at the forefront, then it doesn't work. But also leverage is really important. Find people who are good at what they do so that you can do what you're good at. And my partnership with Sarah and Empower Home is a great example of that. She is very cutting edge, and our business, my company, looks completely different after, joining forces with Sarah. But I didn't have to create that. I didn't have to have the wherewithal. I didn't have to have the knowledge. I didn't even have to have the vision. All I had to have was enough vision to see that there's something that's working better than what I was doing, and to hitch on to that wagon. And so she is the visionary with what our systems and models are. And I'm perfectly okay not being the visionary with that. My vision came in joining forces with the visionary. Right.
Yeah.
Because that still took vision. There's very few people who did what I do, or who do what I did, that have the vision to do that, and to give up your name. I gave up a lot of, the shining star is not Gaye Ribble, it's Sarah Reynolds. And I had to be okay with that, that it wasn't the Gaye Ribble show. And that can be hard for people. And, honestly, it was a little bit hard for me too, because real estate, it is all about the image and the brand and, all of those things too. So I had to be okay stepping back from that and putting my ego aside and letting somebody else have, their name and lights. But that gave the leverage. And what also has happened with that is it gives me an exit strategy, because if all I have is a practice and not a business, when I step out, it closes because it's
Exactly.
about me working with those clients, right? So, it used to be that I did 80% of the business and our team did 20% of the business. I'm trying to flip that where I'm doing 20% and our team is doing 80%. Right now,
Yeah,
I did about a third of what our team did last year. So I'm not quite there, but I'm growing there, which makes it now a business, not a practice, right? So that when
absolutely.
I do step out, it still goes. It still happens and I still get paid down the line, even if I'm not selling a house. And so that was part of what I was looking at as well, is having something, being in this industry for 34 years, I wanted something at the end that made money when I stepped out. And most people in real estate, when they step out, other than a few referrals that, come, like they're not really making, good money any
Yeah,
longer. And so I wanted to be able to have it where that by the time I step out, people don't care whether it's Gaye Ribble or who it is, it's Empower Home. And it's the systems and the heart that I've hired to, right? That keep it going. It's no longer me. They don't have to be working with Gaye Ribble. They can work with any member of my team and still get that same service that I would have given them.
love that. Love that. Thank you so much for sharing your insights on all of that. It's phenomenal to see, the growth in the system side that you've accomplished with the coordination with Sarah. So well done.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been
Absolutely.
fun. That's the other thing is it's always more fun to do it with other people. Right.
Absolutely.
It's more fun to
Yeah.
do anything with other people, and real estate can be lonely. And so I have partners around the country now and we are, constantly in communication and it's far less lonely. So it's been really fun.
That's awesome. Hey, one of the things that we do here is like get to know like the founder type of rapid fire questionings. You up for a little bit of that?
You bet.
Awesome. Hey, what's the book that you're reading right now? Do you got a book that you're always, turning the pages on right now?
Bible.
There you go. Love
So
it. Love it.
I read the Bible every day. And it's a business guide, it's a heart guide, it's how to treat other people, it's how to manage and handle yourself in the midst of all the things that are going on. So specifically right now, I'm in the book of Proverbs, and which is all about wisdom and all it applies to every day. So that is always the first book on my nightstand.
I love it. Are you an early bird or a night owl?
I can be either. So I don't really do one or the other. I kind of just go with whatever my body is feeling at the time. So if I'm, what I do tend to do is my best work happens at about 3 a.m. After I've been asleep, then I wake up, I do my work, and then I go back to sleep. So I don't know what you would call that, but that's more of what I do.
I like it. I like it. What was the first job that you ever had?
I was a basket girl at a swimming pool. So, and I had to clean the bathrooms. So they had the locker room. And so they had the little baskets that you put your clothes in, and then you give them a pen and put the basket in that number. And then they'd give you your pen and you'd have to give them the basket. And I did that until I got fired. And I got fired because I wasn't working hard enough. I was always talking to all the people and having too much fun. And a guy that worked with me complained. And so I got fired.
Oh man. Oh man. That's still a great story though. One thing that I've always you have like the epic travel pictures and you showcase taking them with your family. Do you have like a bucket list travel spot you still want to go to?
It's difficult because I have traveled a lot. I just got back from Maui on Sunday for being in Maui a week. And it's hard for me because I like the places that I've already been to. So I really enjoy, like, we've been to Maui 5 times in 4 years. So, at least once a year. I've been
Yeah.
3 times in the last 12 months. And I like having like my massage therapist is the same gal that I've worked with, now for all these different times. And her house got burnt in the Lahaina fires. And I get to follow with her story and know what's going on. Whereas if I go somewhere new, I don't have that.
Sure.
We like to stay at the same place. So I'm kind of a creature of habit. So it's hard because I do enjoy travel and exploring new things, but equally as much I really enjoy going back to the places. So one of our favorite places and trips would be Switzerland. And my husband and I really love to just sit on a train and see trips Switzerland by train and
That's awesome.
see and talk to all the people that come and get on the train and watch the families that come and go and see the kind of local aspect, but also the beautiful scenery. So we are always up for doing that again. And we were supposed to go to Africa and do safaris this year. I guess it was a year ago, and we ended up canceling that because neither one of us, I mean, we're going to be spending a lot of money on it and a lot of time and everything. And when it came right down to it, it wasn't something that either one of us were really feeling like we wanted to do. We just sort of felt like we should do it. And I quit doing what I should do, and I go back to what I want to do.
I love that. I love that. One of the things that I've always seen you do, in the last 5 years, you've been on this health journey. And do you have you're eating healthy, but do you have your favorite cheat meal?
Well, I like Mexican food a lot, and I like spaghetti with Italian sausage. So,
Good call.
I've lost 75 pounds.
Really?
Over the last couple of years. So, and I've really finally learned moderation. So
Yeah.
there's nothing that I don't eat. It's just that I eat whatever it is in moderation and smaller quantities. And that has worked well for me. I'm not very good at feeling like I can't have, that there's forbidden foods and stuff like that, because
Yeah.
anything forbidden, then I want it. So I've just learned moderation. And if I feel like having, which I just did, we ordered a burrito from Santiago's Burritos with half and half green chili, and it was amazing, but I only ate about a third of it. So now I've got, lunch for the rest of the week.
I love it. Santiago's is a spot back in Colorado. I love it. Awesome.
Amazing. Yeah.
Hey, if you could have one superpower like the Avengers, what one superpower would you want to have?
Oh boy, to read minds.
That's awesome. It's funny because I know you, but coming through this interview, it's just every question just reaffirms the relationship piece. And it's not because you want to read minds to get the gossip. It's you want to read minds to build a better relationship with people. I know that. So I love that you said that. That's cool.
Yeah.
If you could have dinner with a historical figure, either living or deceased, who would you want to have dinner with?
Well, Jesus would be, probably the number one. Number two would be my dad.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Very cool. Last question that I have for you on the rapid fire is I know you've gotten into more of a health cycle. What are you listening to while you're doing your workouts or you're doing your walks and stuff like that?
Well, various things. I mean, I do, listen to different books and podcasts, but a lot of what I do is listen to worship music. And I've really, over the last several years, sorry, there's lots going on in my office here. So yeah, sorry, is really protecting my mind and protecting what I put in my mind and what I subject myself to, right? Because things impact me. And so I'm very, very careful with what I put in my mind and what I allow myself to go to. So worship music is really a good one because it's always just uplifting and positive and, makes you feel good and all of that. And so that kind of keeps me going.
I love it. Well, you absolutely annihilated the rapid fire questions. Thank you for being so open.
You're welcome. I'm pretty open as it is. So yeah.
Exactly. Hey, if you could go back and give yourself time travel and give yourself one piece of advice, what would you want to give young Gaye?
So I want to tell a quick little story because this gives you some insight into me. So when I was 14 years old, I wrote a letter to my future self. about how it felt to be 14 and what I liked about being 14 and what I didn't like about being 14 and how I felt my parents should treat me as a 14-year-old so that when I had a 14-year-old, I would be able to know exactly how a 14-year-old thinks. And I think that that was really forward reaching at that age. It wasn't something someone told me to do. It was just something I decided to do. I still have that letter. And I have read that letter with my kids who are now in their 30s. And now my grandkids, my oldest grandchild is 13. So I've not yet read it, but I will start reading that letter to them too. So I think, having an understanding of wherever you are at whatever point in time, you're exactly where you need to be. Whether it's a good place or a bad place, it's where you're meant to be for that time. And it's okay if you're there, live through it. Winston Churchill said, if you're going through hell, keep on going, right?
Yep.
So you got to just get to the end and then get to the next thing. And I think that probably would be what I would say in that letter to my, future self, that I didn't write that. I did write all sorts of thoughts on love and dating. But I didn't write that. But that's what I would have said, is that it's okay. Life is going to give you lots of ups and downs. Learn from every one of them and just keep moving forward and you'll get through it.
Awesome. Well, Gaye, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the Scaling Up Success podcast today. You're the best realtor I have ever met. And I'm so thankful for being a part of your life. If people are interested in your services, how can they get a hold of you?
They can call my office at 303-424-7575, or just you can email me, Gaye, Gaye, at empowerhome.com.
Awesome. Gaye Ribble, thank you so much for being a part of the podcast today. Really appreciate your time. And thank you so much.
Next time I want to interview you. So when you're ready to be interviewed on your podcast, pick me and I want to interview you, because you have just as much success, if not more. And I would love to hear your full story. And I think your listeners would as well.
I really appreciate that. And you can be my guest host.
I want to be your guest host.
I love it. I love it. Well, signing off until the next time, I'm Ryan Van Ornum with the Scaling Up Success podcast. Till the next time, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And thank you to Synergist for the sponsor of this video today. Until the next time, make sure that you go and like, comment, and subscribe to our Spotify and YouTube channel. Till the next time, stay blessed. Take care.